Kamala campaign advisor Lindy Lee has quit the Democratic Party. I'm going to share with you this really, really revealing clip of her sharing on Piers Morgan's show all the attacks and threats she got. At one point, Piers Morgan even had to give her permission. She couldn't even say some of the things that were flung at her, and she had to ask permission. Is it okay to say this? And Piers Morgan said, yes. You've got to see this clip. She also, on top of that, talks about the Wall Street Journal article and gives even new insight. Again, this is a Democrat, lifelong Democrat insider. She worked as a head advisor, senior advisor for the Kamala campaign. You don't want to miss this. Also, I've got a clip of Scott Jennings, our boy, probably the only person. He is literally the parachute for CNN, whose ratings keep falling, and plummeting. Watch him as he eviscerates Van Jones, who claims Elon Musk is the new oligarchy who's controlling the government. It's absolutely beautiful. But first, check out this clip of Lindy Lee talking about how absolutely ruthless these hypocrites are. Watch this.
Democrats have got to move on quickly, haven't they?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. She's indulging delusions of running for governor in California in 2026 and perhaps even running for president in 2028. And I just want to echo what a lot of you guys already said. This past week has been harrowing for me. This Saturday, I went on Fox and Friends and I said that Democrats have a stench of loser hanging over them.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, there were boycott campaigns against me, unblock, unfollow campaigns. I lost 40,000 followers.
Really?
In 4 days. People have called me the W word. I don't know what we're allowed to say, but you can fill in the blank.
We're uncensored. Let's say it. Say it. Say what the word was.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
Well, they called me a whore. They called me the C word. They asked for me to be deported. And you can just search for my name in those terms on X and you'll see a bunch of them. So, all these so-called Democrats, the party of inclusion, the party of diversity, masks off. And it's even worse because they pretend to occupy the moral high ground. They pretend to be, so loving and caring and embracing of diversity. But all of a sudden, when I dare to utter any criticisms of the goddess, Kamala Harris, I get ostracized. Me, after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. My donors are pissed. They raised $2.5 billion across Super PAC in the campaign. It's my responsibility. It's my duty of care to ask what the hell happened with that money? Why did we spend it? Why did we spend millions of dollars on five-star hotels for campaign staffers? Why did we spend $500,000 essentially bribing Al Sharpton moments before he interviewed Kamala? These are legitimate questions, but no, in the cult, you can't ask questions.
Yeah.
And leaving the Democratic Party or even questioning the Democratic Party is like leaving a cult. It's terrifying. Piers, I don't want that. I don't want to be a part of this tent. I don't want to be a part of this craziness anymore. They're accelerating my rightward shift. I don't want this nonsense. It's just crazy. And honestly, they're shrinking their tent. They're basically telling me to they're pushing me to bring my tens of millions of dollars that I've raised and can continue to raise to a different team that treats me better, that treats me with just common decency, that doesn't call me a communist spy. By the way, the communist regime in China killed my great-grandfather. They don't know my family's history. This is the first time I'm really saying it on air. They are calling me a spy for the regime that killed my great-grandfather. Let that soak in just for a second. That's how disgraceful they are. Yeah. And these are the people who call themselves the social justice warriors. They are dabbling. They are going headfirst into racism anytime someone dares to disagree with them. I don't want to be a part of this nonsense anymore. I want to be a part of the team that says men are men and women are women, and then men shouldn't play in women's sports. And I'm an athlete myself. I'm a marathon runner.
Wow. I mean, these guys, she said it all. Tell me she didn't say it all. $500,000 to Al Sharpton. And there's even reports that she set up the entire Call Your Daddy podcast and paid her $1 million. Oprah Winfrey got like $1 million. It's just this entire party is just filled with fraud. And then now they have the audacity, a party where lifelong Democrats have come out in droves and testified, given firsthand eyewitness testimony to the hypocrisy. Now they have the nerve, even after the mandate on November 5th, to come out and say, oh, yeah, President Musk, it's President Musk. See, a billionaire controls the White House. A billionaire, Trump's a puppet. It's just unreal. The same formula over and over. Somebody in the comments tell me, what's that definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different what? Somebody tell me in the comments. I think it's results. Yeah, that's what it is. You guys want to keep collecting gigantic L's? Go right ahead. And it shouldn't even be about that. It shouldn't be about winning. It shouldn't be about getting the better of the other person. It shouldn't be about, keeping score. It should be about upholding your oath of office, which is you are a public servant. Hello, ding dong. Hello, McFly. Anybody home? Anybody home? Don't be so gullible, McFly. You're supposed to be a public servant. It's not about winning. This isn't a competition. You are literally playing with people's lives. Anyway, I could go on forever and ever. By the way, if you happen to be, first, I want you to tell me what you think of this amazing testimony by Lindy Lee. Again, she was a primary senior Kamala advisor. You heard her raising tens of millions of dollars. This campaign is $1.5 billion in debt. It's just a travesty. It should be investigated. I hope Kash Patel and Pam Bondi investigate. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you happen to be somebody who was treated in the same fashion, somebody who's like, none of this stuff makes sense. Like Joe Rogan was a lifelong Democrat. Not anymore. You've got prominent people. We've had multiple Democratic operatives on our show who've raised almost the same amount as Lindy Lee, saying the exact same thing. You've got a iconic Democrat in RFK Jr., who's sick and tired of these far removed, radical, extreme, even left of the squad now. It's just getting out of control ideologies backed by woke principles that are dominating this party. It's not the Democrats. You can't call them the Democrats, because they're unrecognizable. Let me know in the comments if you're somebody who's experienced the same kind of hate, the same kind of pushback. I mean, it reminds me of like Scientology. Like, you want to talk about the cult of all cults. It's like when all those stories and eyewitness, those documentaries that were made of people leaving the Scientology cult and being absolutely horrifically chased down, haunted, harassed endlessly by the primary leaders, powers that be in that cult. It's like the exact same thing. Now, I want to show you this quick clip of her actually discussing the Wall Street Journal article, which essentially should be the biggest scandal of all time. I mean, it's literally the biggest scandal of all time. We haven't had, if you really understand the tenets of that Wall Street Journal article, it essentially effectively relays that we haven't had a real elected president operating, functioning, creating policy, making decisions as the executive commander-in-chief in the last 4 years. Check this out.
The president is leading as it relates to this. All right, Lindy, that's a tough call. You're a Democrat, and yet I'm sure that there are a number of Democrats around the country that are saying, as long as he is not forcefully leading, he is not leading. What say you?
Kevin, let's just be very honest what's happening here. The president has not been cognitively fit to assume the duties of the Oval Office for a number of years now, and it breaks my heart to say it, because I know President Biden and I love the man, but he is in no shape or form able to carry out the duties that the commander-in-chief requires, and it's just devastating. And we saw that confirmed by the Wall Street Journal expose yesterday, and also many exposés in the New York Times, in the Washington Post, over and over again, how his inner circle is actively covering for him and stepping up to the plate because he simply cannot. And I hosted him on May 1st here in D.C. And I remember one of my family members saying, after interacting with President Biden, they said, oh, we're blank, we're effed.
You don't hear about that on CNN. You don't hear about that on ABC, CBS, Lester Holt. You don't see that on David Muir. You won't see that anywhere. But this should be the biggest scandal of all time. And I showed you clips the other day in my previous video of even, undercover footage of high up Washington operatives saying like, yeah, the guy is literally like out of it. He hasn't been out of it since 2020. It's so scary. And where has he been? Where's Kamala been? Yeah, I know they've been raced to the White House. God knows what's coming up. I'm really, really afraid of the big Christmas surprise. But where's he been? How come he hasn't talked about the shutdown? How come he hasn't met with members of Congress? What's going on? Do we even have a living organic president anymore? I don't even know. There's even thoughts that he's not even alive, that whoever that person is like a stand-in. It's like Dave. It's unbelievable how fiction is mirroring reality. And like the saying goes, if this was fiction, nobody would believe it. It's insane. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, I want to share with you this awesome clip. Given everything that we just heard from Lindy Lee and the hypocrisy that knows no bounds, watch Scott Jennings eviscerate Van Jones for sticking to the talking points and parroting the same garbage about President Musk. President Musk, billionaires controlling everything. Watch this.
There are big fancy college words called oligarchy, plutocracy, that folks tonight might want to look up. It's called ruled by rich folks. And that's what we're dealing with. A bunch of rich folks, two rich people threw a fit online and threw the government upside down. That is not good for America. Now, did the bill go from big to little? What happened is that the bipartisan deal that got struck by elected officials of our country were overthrown by two billionaires throwing a fit, and it's not even January.
Scott, what's your take on that?
Well, if Van is concerned about unelected officials running the government, I would invite him to review the last 4 years of the Biden administration and maybe pick up the Wall Street Journal this week. We've apparently had a president that's so diminished that his staff has been hiding it from the American people and making key decisions on behalf of our government, despite never having been elected to anything at all. So if you're concerned about it tonight, maybe take a look over the last 4 years. Look, I think ultimately all's well that ends well. The government did not shut down. We're not in any kind of crisis over the holidays here. And when the Republicans get sworn in January and Trump comes to the office on January the 20th, they're going to have to come together as a team and decide, are we going to work together or not? That's ultimately how you get things done in a legislative body.
It should literally be the biggest scandal of all time. This guy. And again, a lot of you might be saying to yourself, well, wasn't this recently? Wasn't it after the first presidential debate between him and Trump? No. There were talks even when he was thinking about running in 2020, when they essentially ousted Bernie Sanders, who won the very first primary. And Kamala Harris was in dead last. I mean, she was in the red. It was so bad. Her approval rating in 2020 when she ran, and by the way, she called Joe Biden a racist, right, in those primary debates back in 2020. If you remember, there were questions about his cognition even back then. They were saying, my God, this guy is unfit for office. There's no way. He was 78 years old at that time. There's no way this guy can run. He's already showing signs, not even near as bad now, but there were already talks of his mental acuity way back when. So who's been running the country for the last 4 years? Who's been running the country? Dr. Jilskis? His staff? Certainly not Kamala, although the record would reflect she probably had a big say in it. Who was running the country? Chuck the Buck Schumer? Pelosi? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm thinking maybe Dr. Jilskis is probably ahead in first place by a nose, but I wonder who would be right behind her. I'm thinking maybe Pelosi. Maybe even Obama, right? Obama probably has a lot to do with it. But I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I'd love to get your thoughts on everything that we heard. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, where you're joining me from, what city, what state, what country. I love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter. That's in the pinned comment, show notes, and description. Even though you're subscribed to our channel, you don't always get notified. So kind of sign. It's free, by the way. We don't spam. I don't share your email with anybody. It's in the pinned comment, show notes, and description. And essentially, it's your insurance proof that you never miss out. It's your fail-safe. So make sure you sign up for that. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here, especially this one. If you missed this one, we just posted yesterday. Tap my face right there to subscribe and follow. It's absolutely free. And as always, may God bless you and may God bless the USA. I'll see you soon.